Yeah, fair use. Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976 allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright. Fair use is for educational purposes. I am not making any money. Yeah, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai. First and foremost, all praises, all honor, and all glory. Kahaloyim Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and in sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you akhwatiim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawada with the lesson. Yeah, this is the cool down, some type of journalism or whatever, some type of news, but it's explaining what the USDA recalls nearly 30,000 pounds of Argentinian beef sent to Florida and Texas without re-inspections. Yeah, so this is the cool down, and it's the USDA recalls nearly 30,000 pounds of Argentinian beef sent to Florida and Texas without re-inspection. Right? So call Loyim Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Kahaloyim Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and in sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, which will be the elect. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you akhwatiim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson. Yeah, so it's saying right here without re-inspection, there was no inspection needed, because before they even when Trump was talking about bringing the Argentinian beef, people already saying and specifying that they already knew that the Argentinian beef had basically mad cow. They had some type of disease. So when he was trying to front off the farmers of America and basically send the money to Argentina, meanwhile Argentina got a chance to sell their soybeans to China, so they made double money. They double dipped, while the farmers of America got nothing. And that's you red hatters, right? You got nothing. Why they let the Argentinians double dip? Why? Because they're small hatters, right? That's the greater Israel project for you, right? It's all about Israel first and not America, right? Because the guy that the Argentinian president or whatever, he's actually Israeli, right? So, and when you didn't have to re-inspect it, they were already known that there was something wrong with the beef. Matter of fact, before I read this article, Let me see if I can go back and find some, you know, some of the things I had seen on this before.
America just handed Argentina $40 billion. And what are we getting in return? Toxic beef. That's right. The Trump administration is looking to buy beef from Argentina, a country with a long, dirty history of foot and mouth disease. A virus so contagious it could wipe out U.S. livestock overnight.
I beg your pardon?
Even the National Cattlemen's Beef Association warned that Argentina's history of this disease could decimate American herds. But get this. Newsweek reported that even U.S. officials admitted those imports could be impacted by a foot and mouth disease issue.
Come on, man.
And U.S. ranchers are furious. They're saying this isn't just about one disease, it's about herd health overall and how foreign beef could impact our food supply. Last part's the most important. So let's get this straight. We send them $40 billion and they send back beef that could destroy our own farmers? America's being played again. We're bankrolling countries that can't even control livestock disease while our own ranchers are getting pushed aside? If that sounds insane to you, share this right now because your next burger might come with a side of foot and mouth disease.
It says the USDA is recalling nearly 30,000 pounds of beef produced, imported from Argentina, which, like I said, they didn't need to. We knew that the beef was corrupted, but Trump, being part of that elite, that thing, they want to have some type of chaos in America. You know what I mean? You have to have this because now because people have been too dependent on the government, right? And see, even those people who are not dependent on the government, if you could force them to be, because like those, the farmers, the red hatters, they've always been preaching that for a long time. When you deal with the Republican Party, they were always preaching less government, more of you doing things for yourself, which I get it. I understand that, but you still have to make things fair via you're trying to right away, certain things that allow that helps black people, so-called black people, get jobs, because there is racism, because they're racist and they know it. But it's the thing that they want to do, to pretend and go, but it's just because you can't get ahead. It's just because you can't. But then every time we produce things, you steal it. Hey, rock and roll comes from us. Hockey, even golf comes from us. You stole it. Now these are multi-billion-dollar things, and you stole it. Hip hop comes from us. Jazz, blues, all these things that you accumulated and made money off of. Not to mention the AC, the car. You make money off of these things that actually came from the so-called black people, right? Medicine, Henrietta Lacks, that comes from a so-called black woman, from her DNA. You literally extracted her her DNA and things from her body without asking her, and then create every medicine known to man from the strand of a so-called black woman, but don't want to give us credit at all, right? So, and then you'll present a thing and then tell us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Well, you have to have boots first. And you don't have any boots, but pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Though you don't have any boots, though you don't have any tools, though we're not gonna let you enter into this and this and that. We're gonna block you here, block you there, and then say, hey, catch up. And then now that we catching up, it's you're upset. Now you're wishing things. Hey, make America great again. Let's push these so-called black, the N-words, back again, so that we can have this this thing, this false ideology that you're great and you're not. But hey, here it is. You're getting, hey, but even your own elite, your own counterparts, right? Because they're ruling, they're living in their blessing, right? This is your white people, this is your heaven. But the elites, they're living in their heaven, and even on your own expense, especially with your own racism, they're using your racism to make sure that they can continue living the good life, man. Right? And it says, and they're willing to sell you some nasty ass beef, right? Some Argentinian beef, some imported Argentinian beef after they entered to the country without the required U.S. re-inspection. So they didn't even want to re-inspect it. They said, oh yeah, Argentina, yeah, we just know hands down that your beef is good. We don't have to worry about it. But then you have checkpoints throughout America. You know, you go in from what you call them. Actually, if you're bringing any fruit, to go in from America to Canada, or even sometimes when you go state to state. You know, sometimes I drive from Arizona to California, and they'll ask me if I had any fruit or any type of something else, like a different plant or something. I'm like, nah, why would I have a plant? But they're worried about things. You're taking something from somewhere else and you cross-contaminate to somewhere else. And that's just that. That's not talking about international borders, let alone you're going to send this food to where? Without re-inspection, then were transported to Texas and Florida. Come on now. How is that even possible? But see, you want people to believe in your science. You want people to believe in the American dream, but the American dream don't believe in you, right? Even for you white people, they give you a false ideology that it believes in you, right? Because what in the world is that, bro? It says the recall announced by the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service noted that the products, god damn, were produced between May 5th. See, they don't love you Edomites, man. They don't love you Edomites, man. Right? May 15th and May 20th of this year. So they don't love you Jakes, you so-called Black, Hispanic, Canadian. You want to wear your MAGA hat, and you want to, and even you Jakes that's into the what's the thing called? The Democrat Party. It's pretty much the same thing. It's Democrat Party is white supremacy too, right? If you, hey, Joe Biden proved it. You ain't black if you don't vote for old Sleepy Joe. It's white supremacy, bro. You're connecting yourself to a system that don't love you, right? They play both spectrums of the field. They play the good and bad cop, but both of them are pushing towards the same goal, which is that Novus Ordo Seclorum, micro-C hipping the world and making everybody bow down to their white supremacy, but not just white supremacy, the elite white supremacy where everybody else is poor and they're rich. And they may have like a classism in between the poor, but they said you will have nothing, but you will be happy. You will own nothing but be happy. So maybe they're trying to fit in the Edomites and say, hey, that's okay. You're not gonna have nothing, but we're gonna still, what we're gonna do is make you above the black people. We're gonna make you above the brown people still. See, that, that's the one thing we've always did. We put you above the brown people. So a lot of them like, yeah, okay, well, we're cool with that. So a lot of them are rallying behind that so they could be above so-called brown people. But the whole thing is, this thing is the Antichrist is not just one, it's many Antichrists, and that's you, and your whole entire system is anti-Hamashiach, right? It's coming against the Messiah, and the Messiah is about to put you down, right? But it says, this year recalls involves 29,628. So now they give you it must have been a rough estimate, right around 30. I can give you that pounds of raw beef produced associated with court Argentina U.S. LLC. I don't know how to see if I said that right.
Court.
Court. Argentinian U.S. LLC. So that now it's this business, so it must be okay. We don't need to test it. We don't need to. And it's from May. You know what month you're in? It is August. Hey, but for all you Jakes and and even you Edomites, man, hey, it's gonna be a good thing to laugh at your deaths, man. Laugh at how the Lord actually destroys you through these people, man, through these elites. See, these products have you used by a frozen by date from September 15th through September 20th. That's still a long time, bro. You're talking beef. You're talking meat, raw meat. Man, you don't play with meat. You know what I mean? Sellers in Florida and Texas receive the products before the issue was identified, according to the provisioner. Okay. The recall applies to boneless top sirloin, but it says eye round, top side cap off, flanks, and knuckle cuts. Must be the certain cuts of the meat, right? Different cuts of the meat. Those are all bad, right? Yeah, so this is Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 13. It says, and the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel, right, which are you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans here in Babylon the Great, which is America, and of course you Israelites that are scattered around the earth, whether it be your phenotype looks like a Israelite, or your phenotype does not look like an Israelite, but your bloodline through your father, you are Israelite, right? And ultimately, right, you have to be an Israelite through the Spirit, as far as being the elect, right? Because your circumcision is that of the heart, which the Spirit is what circumcises your heart, right? To give you the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which shall be the stability of thy times. And it says what? And it says, eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles. Gentile meaning nations, right? And as well as the word heathen just means nations. It says whether I will drive them, right? Because what the Lord said, that he was going to scatter us to the four winds of the earth, right? And then we were going to dwell amongst all the heathen, right? Or the Gentiles, right? And this is the actual Gentiles, right? Right? This is 2nd Esdras chapter 16, verse 68. For Behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. The burning wrath of a multitude is kindled over you, right? Being Esau, Edom, and these other nations, but ultimately Esau, Edom. They're angry with you Israelites. They're angry that you have the blessing, right? They're ultimately angry, more angry that they could not restrict the spirit from coming back upon you, right? And now they're at their end, right? And they're trying to do anything they could do to corrupt you, right? Even if they're corrupting the food, right? Even if they're corrupting their own people, right? You know, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, you know, even if they corrupt, you know, their own Edomites, because they feel they're the elite anyway. Everyone else is just, you know, goyim. Everyone else is, you know, collateral damage for their status quo, which their status quo is world dominance, right? Because Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that's one thing that they know that they want to prevent. So they're angry. They're angry about it. So they want to corrupt you, feed you with defiled bread, feed you with defiled foods, or, you know, completely starve you out altogether, right? And it says, and they shall take away certain of you, right? Because it's going to become a time where FEMA camps, and they're going to be taking you away for re-education. Ultimately, really, most people, you might as well consider yourself good as unalived, right? To maintain humanity to 500 million, you might as well just look to be unalived. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, I guess you can try to appease them or whatever, but it ain't looking so good as far as what these elites are feeling and how they're thinking. And not to mention, they don't know who's Jake or not, because they don't got the spirit like that. You know, because some of you so-called white people are Jake. You of course you so-called Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Native Americans, all you Colombians and Cubans, right? Though you hate you know, Jake, he's a Maate and all this other stuff. Hey, but you're a Jake, you know, you're an Israelite. And see, the you may not know that, but the Edomite knows that, right? And you're gonna and feed you being idle. See, a lot of you don't know what's going on. You're on autopilot, right? Because they fed you a lot of BS about who Jake is, who the black man is. Oh, they're nothing. They're just Africans, right? Who you are. Oh, you're just a Mexican. You're just a Puerto Rican. Oh, you know, no big deal. White man, Blanco, come take over your country. It's okay. You what is it? You want to whiten up your race. I forgot how the saying goes, but you want to be like the Edomite, right? You take so much pride in living la vida loca because you can speak Spanish, but that's the language of your conqueror, man. No way. That should be like, hey, like our forefathers, right? You know, those who didn't, hey, because even some of our, hey, they fell into that. They were loving that. Like Timothy's father, he loved the Greek life. He didn't want to leave it. But there were some of our forefathers who said they rather eat pork than to speak Greek, right? And pork is something we can't even touch. It's an abominable food. But see, you know, you don't have a disdain for for those who conquered you, right? But you will be so and feed you being idle, right? Going with the status quo, the program, with things, right? Offer unto idols, Cesare Borgia, Buddha, Sheba, whatever it is that they do. Hey, the American flag, the American way, right? They're gonna feed you with these things, narratives, philosophies, and hey, even actual foods. But these foods are gonna be defiled, plastics, GMO, right? And they're gonna tell you should be just glad you're an American, right? But things are coming. Concentration camps, because they're gonna take certain of you. Concentration camps are coming. Beheadings are coming. Micro C-hip, right? To anyone who don't bow down to their novos ordo seclorum will be unalived, right? Yeah. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 26. For the whole earth is Yahweh, right? Meaning the Father, Yahweh, the Most High, right? And everything in it, right, belonging to the Most High, right? But he's giving it unto his son, Yahweh Shai, right? So every knee shall bow to Yahweh Shai, right? And of course, it gives you Psalms 24 and 1, and Psalms 50 and 12. It says, if any one of the unbelievers invites you to a meal at his house or her house, and you want to go, eat whatever is served to you without questions about its source, right? Because what we know that the sources of this world are controlled by the small hatters, so most likely they are prey to other gods and demons and all sorts of things, which are idols, which eventually, that high idol that they want to push in the earth is the mark of the beast, which is the micro C hip, right? For the sake of your conscience, right? Because we know things are offered to idols all the time, so we ain't asking these questions anyway. We know that these things are offered to idols, because the powers that be actually have the power, right? So we're moving through the spirit, walking by faith and not by sight. It says, but if anyone says to you, this meat has been offered in sacrifice to an idol, which that's what's going to happen, man. These things are going to be offered to you in an idol. They're telling you you're going to have to get the mark of the beast in order to eat. So you're going to know absolutely and equivocally, without a doubt, that food that they're offering you in these concentration camps or in these different things, they're going to be offered unto an idol, right? And your conscience is going to know. Like when you go to the store, I mean, we know these things are, but we're not letting those things don't bear down on our conscience, right? As far as that. But when you're dealing with the mark of the beast, you cannot let the things of this world bear you down right now. But the thing that's going to be heavy is when you know that it's offered to idols, can you withstand and hold up like Daniel, right? Because when you're in these concentration camps, and then it depends on who you are too, right? Because it speaks about that, about one brother's faith being, more higher than the other brother's faith. And, but, I mean, you're going to be moving in a different spirit anyway, as far as when this time comes. But we know that even now, they're definitely offered to idols, But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols, eat not for this sake that shewed it, for his sake that showed it, and for conscience sake, right? For the earth is Yahweh's, right? And his only begotten son, right? Forget about Yahweh Shai, because he's basically giving it over to Yahweh Shai. And it says, and the fullness thereof, right? It says, it says, conscience, I say, not thy own, but the other. For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience? See, because someone else may come, oh, that's off the you know what I'm saying? So, and what they'll try to do is throw you off, you know what I mean? Well, we know that all these things are, bro, we know these things are all offered to idols, you know what I mean? But we're going to pray to Yahweh Bashem Shai, and we're not going to let that weigh us down. But these things at the concentration camps, that's a totally different thing, right? When they're grabbing up certain men and trying to offer you food, unto idols, hey, I wouldn't advise you eat that. But no, we have the grocery stores, these defiled bread, which the Lord said was going to happen. You don't let your conscience eat you up. For if by grace be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that which I give thanks? See, I'm not gonna let you trip me over for the actual, just the regular food, because hey, we already know it's defiled. The Lord already said we're going to eat our defiled bread amongst the heathen or amongst the Gentiles, right? And so I'm not going to let the things trip me up right now, but know that you don't want to do that during the time that they're going to in Jacob's trouble, during these concentration camps, right? They're putting all sorts of I don't even know. They're already talking about that. They put microchips and nanobites and which they're probably doing in the food now. Yeah, that's the whole reason why you got to stay prayed up, But it's defiled bread, defiled food all over, So just don't let it weigh down on your conscience, Yeah, so this is 1 Corinthians 10 and 31. It says, whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do all to the glory of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Shai, right? And that doesn't mean you can eat pork or shrimp, crab, lobster. Doesn't mean that you could be a glutton and just eat. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean those things. It just means, hey, you eat, you don't let things, because we know that this world is corrupt. So this whole world, whether you go to an unbeliever's house or not, when you go to the grocery store, we know that who runs these stores. There's only, for whatever reason, it used to be all these different marketplaces, and they tricked you and allowed you to believe that you would have these different meat places. So then there will be what do you call it? There will be what is it called? Competition, Salakia. And you have these different Tyson, you have this, you have that, but then you come to find out all of it's owned by the same people. So when the prices are jacked up, or the inflation, or whatever they want to make up a reason why the food is so high, right? and expensive, they can make it up because they own it all. There's only like 4 companies, and they're all part of the same club, right? And that was supposed to be illegal, you know. So that's basically ultimately what is it called? It's monopoly either way, right?
The idea that companies always need competition so monopolies can't exist is a contradiction. Companies can actually remove their competition and create monopolies. Having a monopoly itself isn't illegal in the US. Companies can become dominant through better products, lower prices, or good business practices. However, it becomes illegal if a company uses unlawful methods to maintain or grow that monopoly. Essential to prevent monopolies. When companies compete, they are forced to offer better products, good customer service, and keep prices fair. Yes, companies can absolutely create monopolies, and they have done so historically, dominating markets and eliminating competitors.
Delamonte sliced peaches. So is this a way you can eliminate competition, right? Being that these big box stores have these politicians in their pocket, see, and this is a way you could just eliminate competition, right? So the USDA approves a $90 million or $9 million to fund removal of peach trees in California and banning replanting for a decade, right? That's even longer than the scriptures tell you to do. The scriptures only tell you 7 years. See, but where was this energy at before? So what are the people telling you about this defiled bread, this defiled food that they're pushing, you know? And this is one of the brothers, the beloved brothers, Azan Amath. Yeah. Salaki, brother, if I said it wrong. But yeah. And yeah. So what are these people saying? Right? They're ready to kill your source of food so they can give it all to the big box stores, right? But you can only get it unless you have the micro C-hip. Yeah, so this is Haggai chapter 1 verse 6. It says, ye have sown much, right? A lot of you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Indians, you worked hard. You did a lot of different things. Even these Edomites, man, they dedicated a lot to this system who don't love them, right? They only pretend to love them, only enough so they can come after us. But at the end of the day, after they come after us and do the things, they expect for the elite to do something drastic to them as well, right? But the whole thing is they're not even going to get a chance to, because the Lord's going to lift up a standard, right? Things are going to get it's going to be more than what they expect. You know what I mean? You know, a lot of you 2/3 are going to well, you know, just hey, my thing is I hope I'm not 2/3, you know, Lord willing. But there's a lot of Israelites who are going to bow you know, the knee, you know, which is spiritually meaning, but it's going to be a reality thing. You're going to get the chip. You're going to get a literal chip in your hand, your right hand, your left hand, or in your head, right? In order to eat, in order to live, to be a part of their system. And then, you know, a lot of people are hearing, you know, you hear the people crying right now, right? They're complaining, but they don't, you know, they're a reality haven't truly set in, you know. It says, yea, ye have sown much and bring in little. So a lot of you work hard, you do all these different things, but hey, you're only bringing in a little, right? And even the things, even when you can look at it from the standpoint of what the food that that you get is not giving you the vitamins nor the nutrients that you need either because of their GMO. So not only your money, right? You put in the time, you sow in the time, and you're supposed to reap a reward. But then life is getting more expensive, so you bring it in little, and then when you do, even though what you do, it's a little nutrients. Then you have to go buy supplements, but even that's not really working, really. It says ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. See? And what you drink now is not water. And they're about to take that water away, right? Via through these data centers. Right? Ye clothe, but there is none warm, right? Because it's about to be a cold winter, right? It's a good time for them to speak about electrical grids. You know what I mean? And the data centers. Well, if there's no electricity, how did the data center get the electricity? Or they're just going to say, hey, we're just going to convert everyone's electricity to the data center just so you can have the data center, and we'll convert all the energy just to these 15-minute cities. And you're an outcast if you're not within these 15-minute cities where the data centers can work. And you're outside of that, you're in the black, right? You're in the dark, which that's what's coming. The Lord said gross darkness upon the earth. And that's not just meaning your minds, the ignorance is also meaning, hey, actual darkness, man. Right? It says, and he that earneth wages, right? Yeah. Everybody's feeling it right now. He that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. At least that's what it seemed. You know what I mean? That's what what's his name? Dame Dash said that he was pissed off about. One of those small hatters said. He said we call you you black people liquid money because it goes in your hand and it pours right back into our hand. It's almost like water. Because you spend too much, you spend too fast, and you don't look to invest or this and that, and you don't put your money in things to where it appreciates. You just spend only to look fly, so you could tell the next guy, look what I got, and you can't afford this. Though at the end of the day, you're all going to be rounded up and put in concentration camps, and either you're going to get down with the MOTB or you're down with Yahweh Bashum Yahushai, but there's no middle. There's no middle ground, right? So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory unto Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rachaha Kodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, right? Because the elders have been in there 40 years. And continuing on in the faith and the apostles' doctrine that were before them, and and so on and so forth, as Lord willing, you brethren that is out there, the bishops, right, in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and in sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, your phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, you akhwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. Abba Ball, Kwame Asharala, we got next.